Look, Deadlock's a complicated game, but I heard that you want to be an asshole. So, let's pick Paradox in this asshole's guide to Paradox. First, we need to understand Paradox, and the 3 core fundamentals that you need to be ingrained into your mind is poke, provoke, and revoke. In the early to mid game, you're going to be doing substantial pressure to the enemy team by poking them out. You're going to accomplish this by using Paradox's Kinetic Carbine. When fully charged, the Kinetic Carbine not only gives you a 25% speed boost, which scales off a Spirit, so you go zooming around the map, but it also applies a brief time stop effect that freezes enemies for around half a second. It may not sound like much, but as the game progresses, your damage will scale significantly. It also is not uncommon to finish off enemies or outright deny them key plays with just one ability. Do note, this isn't a true stun, it merely slows them down in their animation. This is critical when dealing with certain ultimates like Seven or Dynamos. Shooting them with Kinetic Carbine can actually extend the duration of the ultimate, which can be pretty disastrous for your team. However, it is highly effective against both low and high mobility characters like Lash, McGinnis, and Viscous. Also, make sure to focus on upgrading your Kinetic Carbine as quickly as possible. The sooner you max it out, the more damage and pressure you bring. Now, let's get into the rest of their kit. You should generally buy pulse grenades next. They're good for ad clear and denying people positions. Whenever they're trying to hide from your Kinetic Carbine once they learn that standing out in the open is a bad idea, you can pressure them out of a hiding hole with your grenade. Not only that, but your grenade actually stacks damage for you and all your other abilities once it's doing some sustained damage to people, meaning they're only making it worse for themselves by not peeking your glorious kinetic. Next important thing is your time wall. You want to buy this next. The reason this is important is because your time wall slows down projectiles and bullets. However, keep this in mind, bullets and abilities will travel through the wall eventually, meaning if you don't sidestep those bullets or those abilities, you will get hit by them eventually. The next thing to know is that the wall does percentage damage on a character's max health if they run into it. Later in the game, you can actually buy the upgrade for it at max, I believe, and you'll be able to silence people for 3 seconds if they walk through the wall, meaning if you combine it with Paradoxical Swap, which allows you to switch positions with your opponents, you're able to cause a lot of pain. The main combo you should keep in mind is to place down a wall, fully charge or half charge a Kinetic Carbine shot, then while they're unable to move or fight back, simply use Paradoxical Swap through the wall, and now they're silenced and can barely move. Now, their first reaction is to immediately try and bitch out of the fight, but if you throw a grenade behind them, not only are they now slowed even more, but it's stacking and ramping up your damage to do to them. So they've only made it significantly worse for themselves. Now we get into the nitty gritty. How do you be annoying to the enemy team? Once you're able to pressure your lane opponent out and you're able to take their tower, make sure you rotate to other lanes to apply pressure because you are an assassin after all. Oh, I almost forgot to mention with the grenade. Whenever you get the grenade, you need to throw that whenever the ads spawn in at the beginning of the wave, because then you can basically take a free shots at the enemy tower before the other laner can do anything against you. Just a small tip. Now you're going to be taking a lot more team fights and rotating around the map. One of Paradox's weaknesses, however, is that they're very squishy and they're very easy to get on top of and kill, similar to Seven or McGinnis, where if you get on top of the person, they're probably going to die. So to remedy this, I recommend this, but it's not always needed, especially depending on who you're playing against, but I recommend buying reactive shields or simply a warp stone or both depending on how much pressure you're getting. The reason to do this is you can effectively pull an Oh No reverse card on the enemy team, especially for characters like Lash or Viscous. Whenever they try and stun you, you effectively get 700 HP additionally for bullet and spirit, and now you're a tank and they're about to die to you. That's always fun. Oh, and I guess technically you can use it to escape those situations, but you're not a pussy. You're gonna go in full steam ahead and fucking ram that carbine deep into them. Now, who do you actually target in team fights? And that's pretty simple. Whoever is the main initiator is generally who you want to target, but some initiators are a lot stronger, like Abrams, or to where even if you stun them, it's not gonna do much because they'll just heal back a large majority of it. You should generally go after the person who is key out of position, and if it's not an extremely tanky initiator, target them. The other thing is, when you get into mid game, you need to buy Knockdown. Knockdown is crucial for Paradox because it allows you to chain CC someone back to back, because you can silence them with the wall after you swap with them, you can also freeze them with the carbine, and you can also get a free stun on them with Knockdown. You would not believe how many kills you get by applying Knockdown to someone, because it's essentially a gigantic sign saying, hey guys, look at me, in like 2 seconds I'm about to be stunned and I'm a free kill. You can also use Knockdown as a general team utility. Because of this, you're able to cancel ultimates like Seven and Dynamos, which means that if they want to actually be effective with their ultimates, they actually now have to buy Unstoppable. So you bought a $2,000 item, and now they have to spend $6,000 for an item to counter you instead of buying a more powerful item like Refresher. So not only have you now diffed them in lane, you've also diffed them in the economy, and you're also diffing them in team fights, and you're forcing them to buy items to play against you, and they can't even chain CC stun you anymore, and you're the one who's doing it to them. And don't forget, after you chain stun someone multiple times in a row, make sure to use Valve's magnificent animation system and bag them on speed levels that would make Halo blush. Oh, PS, I almost forgot. Anytime you have free time, throw a grenade and steal all their jungle. It pisses them off even more substantially than what you were doing before. Hopefully you enjoyed this asshole's guide to Paradox, and see you next time.